The first time the house called my name, I thought it was my sister playing a joke. I was supposed to meet her at 5 p.m., but she'd walked in late and we'd spent the last 20 minutes goofing off in the living room while the parents were still out back in the garden. I'd heard a faint whisper, barely audible over the hum of the TV, but dismissed it as her trying to get a rise out of me. However, it wasn't my sister. It was a low, husky voice, and it seemed to be coming from upstairs. "Emily." I called out, but there was no response. Shrugging, I turned back to the TV and we spent the next hour getting lost in a rom-com. It wasn't until the parents came back inside that I remembered I was supposed to check the security cameras to see how the kids were doing. The system was set up in the den, and as I scrolled through the feeds, a shiver ran down my spine. One of the cameras was still showing 3:47 p.m. hours before our movie night. At first, I thought it was just a malfunction, but as I checked the other feeds, I realized they all showed the same time. It was as if the house itself was running on a different schedule. I rubbed my eyes, thinking it was just exhaustion, but when I looked again, the time still didn't add up. The parents seemed oblivious to the discrepancy, chatting with each other as they put away the groceries. I cleared my throat to get their attention, trying to sound nonchalant. "Hey, I think one of the cameras might be off," I said, trying to gesture towards the screen. They exchanged a curious glance, but my mom just smiled and patted me on the shoulder. "Yeah, sweetie, it's probably just a software glitch. We'll get it fixed tomorrow, okay?" But I knew what I saw. And as the night wore on, the feeling grew inside me that something was off. It wasn't just the clock on the security cameras, it was the whole house. The way the shadows on the walls seemed to shift and move of their own accord. The creaks and groans that sounded more like whispers in my ears. As bedtime approached, I settled in for a long night of babysitting, my mind racing with possibilities. Who else was in the house with us? Or was it something entirely different? Something that didn't even make sense? As the clock on the wall ticked away, I found myself checking the security feeds every few minutes, half expecting to see a figure walk into view. But the house remained still and silent, the clock stuck on 3:47 p.m. like a constant reminder that time wasn't quite working as it should. I tried to focus on the kids, who were fast asleep in their beds, but my eyes kept drifting back to the screens. And that's when I saw it, a faint image of a person, standing just out of frame. A person who didn't seem to be moving. I froze, my heart pounding in my chest. My eyes locked onto the screen, and I held my breath, waiting to see what would happen next.